For the first time ever, I've had nerves all week because it's something new and I'm excited about that. Today I've got Adrian Rose. Welcome, dude.
Thank you, thank you.
We were catching up a little bit before the show. I was like, I was wondering if it was going to happen, if it, like what was going to go down today. And I was so excited about this because I've been listening to your music throughout the day because I work at Apple at the mall. So it gets
Oh,
like
okay.
wild this time of year. And I just look for any little dose of happiness just to get me through the day sometimes. So that was your music for me. And just the fact that we were going to be talking today, I'm really excited about that.
Man, I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. I think we're good. I think everything's live. Yo, David's in the chat. What's up, David? Welcome, dude. So I'm going to pin a comment to the chat. Where would you like people to be directed to? Apple Music, Spotify, your YouTube?
All of the above. I guess you can find me on the Big Eleanor website. It's bigeleanor.com.
Okay.
That should have like all my links.
Gotcha.
For socials, it's Adrian Rose Music on everything.
Let's pull that up now. And David, can you hear Adrian okay? Can you hear me okay? And that goes for you too, Adrian. Can you hear me okay and see everything?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Cool. We'll give a few minutes for people to tune in, and I'll find that link. So tell me about Big L Records, because I noticed that Lloyd came out under the Disfunk name.
Oh yeah, so I just recently joined Big L.
Congrats.
That was something we decided to do last year, probably around summertime. Before that, I was never under a label or even had a manager, so it's definitely like pretty crazy and chaotic transition. But I think we're getting the hang of things now.
And who's associated with Big L?
So the founder is my manager, Danny No No, and then my label mates are Shaw Calhoun and
Okay.
Laddie Moran.
All right. I reached out to both of them just to try and get
Nice.
some info on you, just so I wouldn't go in.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I was talking to you earlier about like sometimes I'll pull some threads and see where it goes. And
Yeah.
a lot of the things I looked up kind of led or crossed paths with Laddie.
Yes, yes. He's basically family. Like that's just another brother to me.
I got the feeling because when I DM'd him, he was like so excited to share about you, like a brother does.
Yeah. He actually has a show today.
Really?
Yeah.
In
Yeah, he was
Central
like, "Are you
PA
coming to
or
the show?" Yeah, yeah, in Lancaster. The manager was like, "You coming to the show?" I was like, "I have that interview." What do you mean?
oh yeah. Thank you for pushing some stuff aside for me.
Oh, you're good. I would just be doing hooks if I was there.
Okay. Yeah, he was sweet though. I grateful to cross paths because I heard you sung on Crybaby Blues, right?
Yep.
Your two voices really complemented each other.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I like the scene. It was you were both sort of on like cajon drums, kind of a looking thing, and it was just a nice setup. Okay, I got the link here, and we'll pop this in.
Yeah, that was actually for a local clothing line or clothing brand called Hood Hippie Love Yourself, and they wanted to kind of like showcase something for mental health, and they picked that song and gave us free hoodies to perform it.
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
cool.
yes, sir.
I get a really strong impression that you're trying to do a couple of things with how you're living your life and with your music. One is like this like collectiveness, like you're trying to bring people in. So something about me when I was making music, I was telling you, it was almost like I was anxious about it, so I didn't want anyone to see the process. I didn't want anyone to tell me what to do or tell me that it sucked or direct me. So I would close myself in a room for 3 weeks and make whatever I could. And I admire that about you. So I get that vibe. And the first time I sort of like noticed that when I was looking into you is the album cover for your new album, all caps. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
It was like an illustration. Like it wasn't a picture of you. It wasn't a photograph. It was a drawing. And when I was watching some interviews about you, I learned that your younger brother made that, right?
No, my older brother
Older
made it.
brother. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And it was like it had some people on there. And can you tell us about the album cover and who's on there?
So we have everybody that was involved in the creation of the album on the album cover.
And this was at your grandmom's house.
Yep, yep. The scene is my grandmother's house, and yeah. So yeah, the idea was just to have everybody that is like behind the scenes on the front, because like being a producer at first, I've known how it feels to kind of just be in the background,
Can you
and I
tell us
feel
what a
like
producer does?
everybody. So it's different. Like I guess in some cases they could just be the person like arranging the song, or even like making the connections of like between artists and musicians, like just in that room, or like they could be a musician themselves and actually like make the music or write the music that you hear. I do pretty much all of it
I got
because
that. I
I
got
make
that
the
too.
music,
Yeah.
and then I also mix and master it as well. But yeah, it's a pretty big umbrella of what a producer can do, though. I think because
But
like some people just make beats, and some people do everything like from start to finish, like even the whole recording process and all that.
when you're arranging someone's music, maybe early on, I'm sure you've developed this well over the years, but was it challenging to give direction for someone's art?
At first, it was like kind of awkward, I think, because you don't really know what you're doing. But
Like a confidence thing?
uh, more of like a communication thing, like not even knowing like all the terminology and stuff like that, or like how to just like get your idea across. But I think working with artists like Laddie Moran and his wife Shug definitely helped like kind of grow me as an audio engineer.
Yeah. Because you guys had a good rapport.
Yeah, for sure. And like we're real close like family, so it's like easier, I guess, to get a point across. But they're totally different though. He's a rapper and she's a singer.
Oh, that's fun.
So just like learning more about each lane, I guess, is was very helpful, I think, too.
Yeah, I
Plus, like
noticed. Go ahead.
the way that she sings is amazing, and probably the reason I sing the way I sing.
Was was she on the album?
She had like one little ad lib on LPP.
Okay. Because maybe I'm getting confused, but who was the singer on the last track?
That is Naibi Perez.
That so I've listened to the album probably 10 times, right? And
Yeah.
um, sometimes I'll be distracted because I'm driving or doing other things while listening to it, and then there's things that pull me back in, and I'm like, oh wow! And that song, the meaning behind it, but also the her voice and your voice together, like it just always like snaps me back, like oh yeah, I'm listening to really great music right now.
I appreciate that.
Um,
Yeah,
mhm.
it was kind of intimidating working on that track, to be honest, because she's incredible, and I was still kind of finding my voice around that time when we made it. So
I've
just to keep
faced
up
that
with
too.
that.
Like the way I learned music was through like Ultimate Guitar and YouTube, right? So when I'm confronted with a someone really talented, it sometimes can be intimidating or make me not open up. So did it just take some time to like relax about it or
Well, so we recorded her part, and then I waited till they left the session
yeah.
to start working on
yeah.
my part. I was like, yeah,
Yeah, she's not like watching you try to get
yeah,
this.
because I was still at that stage of just experimenting with my voice. So like I didn't know what all I could even do yet, and I wasn't about to just like make a fool of myself in front of people. So
And it was just a shower one day and you started singing.
yep, yep. I
And
mean, I played
mhm.
around with like rapping and stuff like that before then, but yeah, I didn't realize that I had like a soul voice until I was in the shower singing
Yeah, like
Crybaby
a
Blues.
baritone,
Yeah,
strong voice.
thank you.
Yeah, it's like those reflective spaces where you can really hear your voice back. Even like I enjoy singing with the reverb in my ear. I feel like I like hearing kind of that reflection, and it maybe lets me hide a few things too for my case, but like I like hearing myself back. You
Yeah, for
find a
sure.
nice space and you sing, and you can really, because a lot of our spaces are pretty dry, like in our homes and stuff. So it's nice to have
Yeah,
that reflection back.
yeah, yeah, for sure. When I'm recording though, uh, I have like a vocal chain where like I have all the effects on. Like I'll even have delay and stuff like that, so I can hear how it lines up.
A digital chain, or like a, do you have physical stomp boxes, or
Digital,
uh huh,
digital.
through a board, or is it all like DAW?
It's all through the DAW. I went on a Waves kind of shopping spree during lockdown too, when everything was like
Oh
20
yeah,
bucks. So yeah, that's where my stimulus check went.
yeah. You mentioned that in a song too.
Oh
That
yeah, yeah, yeah. Need another stimmy.
I didn't complete a thought earlier, but I was kind of saying like two things that as a whole stood out to me through your music and as a person. Like one is, um, bringing in the people you love to your project, whether that be your brother making the album art, or bringing on, like, featuring artists that you really care about, ones that are going to elevate you, and making that clear that it's happening. And the second thing is that I think you shine a light on um, maybe the oppressed or the challenges that we
Mm.
face in the country, whether it's like the financial ones or people struggling, maybe these less sexy things that are happening, right? Because I think in hip hop sometimes it's natural. I mean, you get a huge mix. It's a huge genre, but there's a lot of like braggadocious or flexing, or a lot of like individualism. But you sort of like shine a light on, like I said, those things that are not fun or careful to like think about. It's easy to shut in and not consider the suffering around you.
Yeah, like mass incarceration and homelessness.
Yeah. You're really open about that in a few songs in the album. Why?
uh, I've always kind of had like the like an activist mind, I guess. Um, just even from when I was younger, like just looking up to my grandma and the way she is when it comes to like social issues. But that and just like the hip hop that I listened to growing up, like Tupac and Nas, and Mos Def, Talib Kweli, even early Kanye when he was he was still more political in his raps. Even like metal bands too, like Rage and System of a Down and stuff like that. Always kind of like felt there was a place for it in music. But other than that, yeah, we've been making conscious music, I guess you call it,
Mm-hmm.
just socially aware music for years. Like Laddie's first project, well, not his first project, his most recent project actually. It's called Never Ignorant Getting Goals Accomplished, and that's based on a Tupac acronym right there. But it was pretty much like the whole tone of the album was police brutality and kind of stuff like that. Even just like brainwashing, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Are
it was
you
definitely
ever nervous, like talking about these things in your music, or worried that people are going to like get weird about it or take it the wrong way,
um.
or fuck them?
So when yeah, it's basically fuck them because like we've asked ourselves that question so many times during the process of the niggas album,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just like, you know what, fuck it. Somebody wants to hate on it, let them hate on it. It was at that point we were like, bad publicity is still publicity, I
Mm.
guess.
Yeah. And you're just being creative, and you're coming up with, you're just in that creative process. Like you don't really, you can't really get the feedback from people. It's long after you've already laid the track and wrote the song and everything anyway. It's already out.
Yeah, yeah. But during like the whole process of making that album, we knew what the message was and how it would hit some people, and we were just like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
this is the truth, whether you like it or not.
When you're coming up with, you've worked on quite a few things while the album was being made, all caps. Because you've been working on this for like 4+ years. You did
Yep.
Disfunk and Lloyd and covers on YouTube, and produced probably for more people than I could even research. Right, like there's a lot going on. So I'll just pick a project like all caps, for example. Is there a theme in your head that's trying to link all this together?
So there's not like an overall theme. There's kind of a meaning behind the title of it. It's just like I wear all the hats, and there's like that slight MF Doom
Mm-hmm.
influence too when it comes to just like the way I make music. It's not like I'm following a formula he did or anything. It's like the lack of a formula. Like there's just no rules to the way that I make music. Like sometimes I'll structure a song to not even have a hook or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Like
not
there's
like the
really no.
pop formula, like
Yeah,
two and
yeah,
a half, 3 minutes, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, something like that.
yeah. It's more of like a jazz approach. I think. Still kind of repetitive at some parts, but like that's just like the way modern music has evolved. But yeah, it's just all based on feeling, I think, rather than I'm making this to make it like this or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you tend to get an idea and jot it down, or are you doing a lot of it in like right there where you're at now? Like, are you in front of the computer messing with something and
It really depends. Like sometimes I'll be just like wandering around the house doing something, and then I'll get an idea in my head, and then I'll just pull out like the voice recorder and just kind of like hum it or do something like that. Um, there are times though where I just kind of just sit here and I just pull out one of the guitars and just start playing till I come up with something I like, and then I
that's how
build
I
off
am?
of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it really just depends on the mood that I'm in.
Did you do the guitar on it was the yeah, Rat Race? Did you do the guitar on that?
Nah, that was Zach Anderson. He's amazing though.
The tone on that guitar was like
Yeah.
what I would think I would hear when I get to heaven, you know? It's like buttery, silky, like
That's if the traffic's
reverb,
real bad on the way
compression.
to heaven.
Huh?
If the traffic's real bad on the way to heaven.
That Rat Race.
Yep.
It's like that I was talking about the moments where like I'm kind of like driving or something, and then I'm a guitar player, so I naturally go towards that. Or same with like sax. Like usually it's the
Hmm.
instrumentation that I lock into first. And yeah, like the tones of the entire album, the production value is really got me excited about listening to it a few times over. But like that, the guitar tones, it just all just blended together. It was fantastic and a great choice by you to put that in there for sure.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, definitely shout out to Zach Anderson though because he killed it. I was like, I need something like real upbeat, crazy. Like I need it to feel like a race, and that's what he sent back, and I was like, yes.
Is that literally what you said to him? Just like I needed to feel like a
It
race.
was probably something. It was probably something along
I
those
need to feel
lines.
busy.
Yeah, yeah, like real busy.
It takes a
Go crazy
special
with
person to take
it.
those like that natural language and be like,
Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah.
check this out.
I mean, I have artists that describe feelings to me like sonically. They describe them as like colors.
I've heard of that.
Like like I need more yellow or something like that.
Yeah.
This needs to be more orange.
Can you see music like that, or is it more just something that you
Oh,
can
I
perceive?
wish.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like associate some colors with certain sounds now just because of like dealing with people like that. But like before that, like I can't like literally see sounds. You know what I mean? I could be
Uh,
like, oh, this feels like this color though. You know what I mean?
yeah, I can barely see to begin with, so it's like I can't see through the music, but I definitely like I was born legally blind in my left eye,
Okay.
like can barely see out of my right eye. So because my sight wasn't really being used until I got glasses when I was like 2, I think my ears really became my first instinct. And a lot of times when I'm like just walking down the street or something, there's notes in everything. Like if someone hits a bar or the way the door shuts, and it might not be musical, but it's still a note. And usually my mind will just start running off of that, and that's where that sort of comes from for me. But there's no colors going on. It's just like there's a lot of like sound input happening way before my eyes see anything.
Okay.
But then
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
it takes a lot of work though to get that music from your head out and actually turn it into something, whether that's a guitar lick or something. You know, that, at least for me, I'm not naturally gifted like that. It's a lot of work, but yeah, it's cool. So, were you nervous putting the album out because you'd been listening to it and working on it for years?
I wasn't necessarily nervous. I was more relieved that it was finally coming out because it has been a long time. And then it was actually supposed to come out during the summer, but it ended up getting pushed back a little further. So it
That's
was
where
more
the
of
phone
like,
calls happened in the little intro.
yeah, yeah,
Who was that?
yeah, for sure. That was uh, that was Laddie, the manager Dan, and our dude Charles Baynard. He's a comedian from the Lancaster area. But yeah, that was them on the voicemails, and they were having fun with that.
And it was a stylistic choice for you to kind of put that into the beginning and then the sort of relief and release at the end, but still in that style.
Yeah, that was actually kind of inspired by a video game.
Oh, really? Tell me about it.
Uh, I assume you've played GTA before.
Of course. One
Yeah,
of the
anytime they
few
get a
series.
call,
Yeah.
yeah, anytime they get a call or a message or something like that, that's kind of how like I created that sonic space for it. Just like the music in the background, you can hear somewhat of a dialogue from the character, and then you get like the voicemail or phone call.
Yeah, it's like a soundscape that kind
Yeah,
of adds an environment to the entire thing. But it also speaks to like your maybe like playfulness or maybe you don't always take yourself too serious.
yeah, for sure.
And to get that like sort of if it was just that intro, right? It sounds like your friends sort of like giving you a hard time. That's fine. Our friends do, but you also show the other side of it. It was like I was giving you a hard time because this needs to be out. I wasn't just
Yeah,
being mean to you. Like I'm messing with you because it's like, come on, dude. We want to hear this music, you know. So it was nice that you showed both sides of the coin.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Like on one side, they're definitely impatient, and
Yeah.
then on the other end, they're just really proud of the work that I did on this project.
Are you all working like remotely, or do you ever get together and make music like with Laddie or Shaw?
So I haven't really worked on anything crazy specific with Shaw yet. We are working on like some kind of collaborative tracks like as a label, but like for like an actual project though, we haven't worked on anything yet. But Laddie, he definitely comes here to record. There's a few artists that I actually record on the project. Like I recorded Naibi, uh, Raldi as well. But yeah, most of the time when it comes to like the musicians that I work with though, it's most likely gonna be remote. Just because like this space isn't really set up for a whole bunch of
Bringing
live
in a bunch of
instruments at
people.
once. Yeah, yeah.
But you were
Like
working
I
with.
I can
uh,
play with mine, but
Yeah, it's fine for you. Like you're at the desk,
yeah,
but it might not be the easiest thing to like put someone in the corner or something and
yeah,
try
for
to
sure,
capture a vocal. Is
for
that
sure.
is that something you strive for in the future? Do you want a space like
Oh,
that?
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome to produce an entire project with like a full band.
Yep.
I
Live
think that would,
or doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
All of them live.
Live would be amazing too, yeah. But like, yeah, just all of them in the same room, so like ideas could bounce off each other,
Hmm.
like
One
in
of
real
my most
time.
exciting parts of the process is the miking process. Like when you said capturing a live band, I'm thinking about like the phasing issues and how you're gonna
Mm.
mic up the drums and are you gonna get bleed. Like I love the process of solving those challenges. Do you? or have you
No,
faced
I
any of
can't
it?
say I can't say I love doing that.
Yeah, you want to get
Because
that out of the
sometimes it's a
way.
pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it can be frustrating. Um, even just like vocally, like sometimes I'll hear the music bleeding out of the headphones into the mic, and I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
how do I fix this?
Even in my stream where it's the simplest setup in the world, there's like challenges. Even with that, like there's certain commands and things that people can play, and it's like so loud in my ears that it's like coming through the mic, and then I worry about like YouTube blocking it or something like that. Yeah, there are challenges, but I don't know why. I just love that, like running into something and trying to figure that out. Maybe it's because like it's something unrelated to music, so it's a different kind of stress. I don't know, but it's
Yeah, no,
interesting either way.
I'm definitely happiest when I'm actually like in the process of creating though.
Yeah, the problems are solved and you're just hitting record, and
Yep.
it's not like a driver issue on your computer or something. It's just like,
Yep.
have you ever recorded like with an analog setup or anything, or has it always been digital?
I worked on one song. I didn't record vocally or do any of that. But I worked on a song at my uncle's studio, which is like industry grade for sure. And yeah, that was like the only time that I ever worked in like a professional studio. I think everything else has been in my home setup, which I think I make music sound pretty good with what I
Without a
have.
doubt.
Yeah.
And it's probably really a safe place for you. You
Oh
spent a
yeah,
lot of
for
time
sure.
there.
For sure. I feel like I have a lot more freedom when I'm by myself creating
Same.
versus in like a professional setup where there's an audio engineer pressing a button for me, and I'm like,
Yeah, you can
let me
capture
press a
someone's
button.
part. They do a great job, and then you just mess with it all night by yourself, like
Yeah.
trimming something.
Yeah.
Just it's wild how much can go into the intricacies of just like routing certain effects uh and how you want those to be perceived, and where you want them to go, especially with like with delay. That I've always like had struggles with that. What's your relationship with your uncle? Where does he live? Is he an artist?
He's in the same town as me, which is it's just a small town in central PA.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the bass player in Lynch Mob, which is like a hair metal band from back in the day. Um, he's also played for Ace Frehley.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a band right now with Jakey Lee, who is in Ozzy's band. He
Mm-hmm.
was his guitarist. Um, but yeah, he's worked with like tons of different punk bands and metal bands and stuff like that. I think he was in the Remains as well, which was like the Ramones.
Oh, that's cool.
Like it was the ones that were left of the Ramones, I guess.
Oh, that's sick though. It's still yeah, that's hilarious to be honest.
Yeah, the Remains. But
uh,
yeah, yeah, our relationships, it's like family though. He didn't really like show me the ropes or anything like that, but like he'll always give me feedback on my music and tell me things that he likes, things that he thinks I could do different, but it wasn't really like super hands on
wasn't
when it
trying to
comes
be
to
a
like
teacher,
yeah, yeah,
seeing
yeah.
if you wanted to take it serious, maybe.
Well, I mean, he knows that I'm taking it seriously. It's just it's a different lane that he's in, but also he has different schedules and all that
Yeah, even
gigs and
just
stuff like that and
musically.
projects. Yeah, and yeah, he's a busy guy. I'm a busy guy, so it's like it's not like he's gonna literally just train me to be what he is.
Yeah,
I kind of like figuring things out on my own. Like I'll ask for tips and stuff and advice here and there, but I'm not gonna be like teaching me everything.
I was saying before we started, like we kind of started making music in a time where, like, with technology, information was super accessible. You could go on
Yeah,
YouTube and learn some new software. It's a very DIY mentality, at least in your case. It sounds like it for sure, uh, and maybe he just knew that you'd be good either way. But I get that. And your dad, DJ,
yeah,
still doing it?
I believe so.
And
If he's not doing gigs, he's still doing it in his basement. That's for sure.
there's something going on, yeah,
Yeah.
with it. Was he doing CDs back in the day, or
I have no idea if he was like making. Well, he probably was doing CDs, but yeah, I'm not sure if he was like distributing them.
oh, sure. Yeah, I was wondering like what was accessible to you if you were able to be a part of that at all or listen to his
Uh,
music.
so so I didn't grow up entirely with my dad.
Same.
My mom, she moved us out here to this small town, Dillsburg,
Hmm.
and he
From
was
Reading,
not.
right?
Yeah, yeah, from Reading, and he wasn't really a part of my life for most of it,
Hmm.
but we've reconnected over the years. Early in my childhood, though, he was there, and I just remember listening to a whole bunch of like freestyle music that he would play,
Hmm.
even like DMX and hip hop like that, Busta Rhymes even.
Hmm. It's similar with me. Like my parents got divorced when I was about 5, and my dad didn't really know how to act with that, so he kind of went off, did his own thing for a while, and then it was tough. But we like eventually got pretty close, and now I talk to him just about every day. But there was that time where that sort of like key mentor wasn't there, and to be honest, like I give people a lot of grace, even my parents. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and worry
I'm not.
about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna like hold on to anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I try not
There's
to.
really no point in doing that. But but yeah, no, like the my taste in music, like when it comes to like hip hop, I would definitely say came from him. Just like my ability to take things apart and put them back together probably came from him.
What about your mom though?
Um,
Like I didn't hear anything about like this.
she can sing
Really?
like yeah, she can sing. She was never in like a band or anything like that, I don't think, but she can definitely sing. Like we'll do karaoke, and I force her to sing Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. My mom like lives in the 70s. Every day,
Yeah.
DirecTV 70s channel is on. Like that was her thing. She never moved past that and she's good.
um, my mom, she stays up with the times. I think when it comes to music, her music taste is just pretty broad.
That's cool though. It was on when you were growing up. She was playing music
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
in the car, something.
Yeah, and then we started developing our own tastes, and then we would take over the radio.
Yeah. So
She's like,
I'm the
"Hey, mom,
youngest
you're
of
listening to Outkast."
I'm the youngest brother. So, well, I have one older brother and a stepsister. And my brother was so aggressive with the radio. Like, I was just like, okay, fine. And then eventually iPods came out. So I was just like in my own world there. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
what's it like being like the middle brother?
Um,
What role did you play?
I was the easy button child, I guess.
Same.
Like I didn't really ask for much or need much. I think. I mean, I don't know. It's not like she has like a favorite or anything for real, but I like to say I'm the
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, I was definitely the easy button too. Just like, everybody just chill. It's all good kind of thing. That was at least the role I played. But I guess we don't always think about it because it's the only kind of thing we ever had. So
Yeah, yeah.
when you were you said getting more serious with music in high school. You started with like your or got serious with your friend Cody, right?
Yeah,
You were playing
that's
music.
wild.
Yeah. And can you were you already playing music before that relationship with Cody, or did it kind of all start around that time?
So we were both playing football and kind of getting into the whole music thing because we went halves on equipment, and propeller head reason was part of that equipment that we purchased, and
Say
we
it
were
again.
just like messing. Propeller head reason. It's a doll.
I know Reason. Yeah, I didn't hear
Okay.
Propeller Head back in the day, but I did know Reason. So you went
Oh
you
well,
went to
that's the parent company, I guess. Is
okay.
propeller head. But yeah, Reason was the first doll that we messed around with, and that kind of taught me how to, I guess, work with analog gear, but not actually, because it had like all the cables and you could flip it around, and it was like a rack.
Okay.
But But yeah, and then I picked up FL Studio because I remember
Oh
messing
yeah.
around with that when I was younger, and I would do reggaeton patterns.
Uh-huh. Like a beat sequencer in there?
Yeah, yeah, on the drum pattern, whatever you want to call it. It's a drum channel, I guess. It's like a
Yeah,
drum
it's almost
machine.
like looping and then you're just placing
Yeah,
the notes where you want them to play.
yeah. So I would do that and not really know how to like structure actual songs. So like that was like the furthest I got to it. But then I looked up like a whole bunch of tutorials and stuff like that when I went back to FL and kind of learned what everything does. And then I stopped watching tutorials altogether. I was like, all right, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Because at that point, it's like it's time to create. You could be watching,
Yeah,
like I know I've fallen into this, and I know people who have, where it's like you strive to be a musician, but there's so many distractions. Whether it's like, um, well, there's not really any point in creating until I have this piece of gear because it's not going to sound the way it does in my head, or I don't really know what the best software is, so I'm going to spend my time researching software or plugins. And you're basically doing everything but making music.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And like when I first started using FL, I had just like the free cracked version. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Well, stolen, not really free,
Yeah.
but but uh, but yeah. So it was kind of just like figuring out what I could do, what does what. Like all the stock plugins that I used, like I felt like I could do the greatest things with just the stock plugins. Um, but that was necessarily not true. Like there are definitely companies that make better plugins. But
You briefly mentioned football, and this is just a subtle
oh,
thing
okay.
because
So,
it connected something. But I was told to bring up Lamar Jackson from the Ravens.
um, yeah, he's the goat.
Okay, it was very vague, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be love or hate. But I'm an Eagles guy because I'm like right next to Philly, so
Okay. Well, I know Dahan is a Steelers guy.
it's yeah, it gets weird. And my dad's a Dolphins guy. We literally got together one day at this sports bar, and they all three were playing at the same time, and we all were like rooting for three different teams.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, he always talks crap in the Discord about the
You
Ravens,
ever play
but
2K with him? I think Christian does. I don't know if you do.
no, no.
That's where you could see him get fucking.
I mean, I hear him.
Yeah, yeah,
They'll be in the chat room or whatever, and it's just nonstop complaining, crying.
yeah, for sure. Um, but so you and Cody are like fired up. You're like we're gonna be musicians, and you're
Yeah,
still doing football at the time, and you're putting your money together mainly for software, right? And then the rack mount
yeah,
type deal. And so that was like you were just messing with like software instruments at that time.
yep. Yeah, I remember getting like a little MIDI keyboard and really just like figuring out what everything in Reason does because like we had no idea what we were doing. We were in high school, never seen any of this stuff before. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where it started. Also took like a beginner piano class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in my like senior year, I think it was. I learned like the basics of music theory and stuff like that, but I didn't go further with it. Everything I kind of do is just by ear.
Piano's the best way to learn that because it just lays it all
Yeah,
out. Whereas guitar, it's like every
yeah,
string starts at a different place. It's like a mess to learn sometimes. That's something I
yeah.
never
I
did. I
feel
never
that.
really went and studied music that way. And maybe it's good that you spent some time just to get a little background before.
Yeah, yeah. Just kind of like when it comes to like terminology, just like the basics. I felt is all I really needed. And then like when I figured out, just like as a kid, when I figured out that the keys repeat themselves,
Oh
like it's
yeah,
just different
the
octaves.
octave ding.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so I can do patterns. Like,
It almost feels a little less intimidating when you realize, oh, these keys are just repeating. But then it's sort of
mhm.
mind blowing how these repeats can make, every song we've heard. Like there's only so many notes, but putting them in
Mhm.
different orders and different instrumentation, like it creates every single piece of music we've ever heard.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, so I started on keyboards and then made the transition to stringed instruments I actually picked those up during quarantine or COVID or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Had a little more
And
time at home.
yeah, I picked up a bass first because it was just four strings, and then later I picked up the guitar and I was like, oh, this is basically the same,
Hmm.
just a few more strings.
Plus, the bass is sort of in your family with your uncle.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It is. He actually let me borrow one of his to like start off with to like figure out what kind I wanted to play, and he had this fretless, and I was like, this
Oh,
is
I
the
love it.
easiest to use, so I'm gonna go with that.
One of my favorite things is like on YouTube. There's like a fretless guitar player guy, and I guess because there aren't frets, there's a little bit of like a portamento thing going on. Like it's just a
Hmm.
little slightly out of
I love
tune.
sliding. I just love sliding.
Yeah, it sounds really cool too. But how did you
Yeah, for
learn?
sure.
Like, what was your approach to learning the instruments? Were you using YouTube? Were you using Musician? Were you messing around?
So I don't play anybody else's music usually, and
Hmm.
it's all just by ear. So as soon as I picked it up, I was like, "Ding," and then I was like, okay, that makes that sound, and then like I would just bounce around and see what's what,
Yeah, you
and
weren't
then
learning music. You were just learning a new instrument to do what you've already been doing.
yeah, pretty much. I was like, all right, so how can I make what's in my head come out of this thing?
Yeah. When you moved from Reading to, I think you said Harrisburg or just a small town,
Yeah,
and um, you had mentioned that it was like a rural area. I'm guessing it was primarily white people, right?
yeah.
And you're Puerto Rican and Italian, and like, what did you learn from that time, like in that space? Because for me, like I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, and it's more of a city vibe or suburb. And even just going from here to where David grew up in like a mountain town in PA, Uniontown,
Hmm.
like even that was a culture shock for me. And I'm white, like uh, there's it's just wild how that is. Like, what did you learn from that time? Because I would imagine that it, first of all, probably brought your family even tighter together because you had each other through that. But like, can you describe that time?
Um, I mean, it's you have your small town bullshit, but when it comes to like the whole racial vibe, yeah, there's definitely a lot of rednecks around here, and it was not the friendliest growing up. I heard pretty much every slur in the book,
Hmm.
been in fights and whatnot, but or even like targeted by law enforcement. But yeah, I kind of just stay to myself usually. Like I'll have like a few friends or something like that, but I'm not really out and about too much. Like I'm not gonna go out to like a bar or something like that because there's probably gonna be someone there that's looking for something.
Yeah, especially when someone's drinking, it's like
Yeah,
their inhibitions down, and they're just like whatever amount of dickhead they are is going to be even worse.
yeah, yeah. This is what we call Trump country.
Yeah, yeah. If I drive through the area, like you'll see the changes, like city
Yeah.
per city or something like that, and you're still there. You're still doing your thing. Did it push you to do more individual things? I mean, I know you played football. That's sort of a team mindset, but music can be, sort of a team sport, but it can also be individual.
It didn't really push me to do music. Maybe influence like some of the messaging in music that I make, but it didn't really make me want to do music just to like get away from everyone. I think football was more of like a teamwork type of thing, but also like a release just to get like the hormones out basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we were teenagers, we're all kind of like balls of rage.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Skateboarding was
getting
that
that
for
out
me,
was yeah. So getting that out was definitely necessary with football.
and
Because
that's
I'm
like
I'm
every
not I'm
day
not a
after school.
violent person at all now. Like,
Yeah,
but during high school, I loved to hit the shit out of somebody.
yeah, and it was like structured. which is
Yeah.
pretty like there's an expectation.
I get rewarded for this.
Yeah,
It's oh I get a Big Mac if I get a sack. Like for sure.
that's hilarious. My favorite burger. Shout out to the Big Mac. uh, and that's like every day after school when it's
Yeah.
in season. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're learning discipline too, commitment.
Yep. Yep.
Did you stick with it all
Some
of high
manners
school?
and professionalism.
Yeah.
I actually quit halfway through my senior season because I was at that point I was like I'm just gonna protect my noggin.
Oh yeah, and more
I
time for
didn't
music.
yeah I didn't have any like concussions or anything that I knew of, but we were at that age where everybody was getting bigger, so I was like yeah let me just protect myself and focus on something
Just getting
that I
risky.
think I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, getting risky.
Yeah, getting risky.
I got
But
these
yeah,
thin retinas. I wasn't trying to mess around with any of that. I got these fragile little retinas. I'm already half blind. I can't take a risk. And we still had to do gym class.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then yeah, music and art though that was totally different because I was always an art kid. So creating and being creative was just like natural expression to me from the time I was a baby till now.
What was like your first median? Like, what were you doing first artistically that, not the things that we necessarily are made to do as kids, but like what's something that you really got into art wise early on?
I was always drawing. I remember I would draw like anime characters, like I would draw Goku or Future Trunks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got into graffiti,
Remember the paint
and
markers? That those went crazy
yeah,
for a while.
they still go crazy in our family.
Really?
Yeah, they're a lot more expensive,
There was this
and they're name brand and stuff like
the
that.
AC
But
Moore that was in our area, the art store. Like it became a problem that they were getting stolen like crazy, and then we used to I can't draw, like I never grew out of kindergarten art, so I couldn't get into it, but a lot of my friends did. So they would take these mailing slips, like these stickers from the post office, do their tag, and then like stick it somewhere.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. My brother still has a bunch of stickers that he does that with.
My bedroom
Uh,
wall as a kid was like covered in that kind of stuff, or anything I just found that was like hilarious. Like one night, the gas station prices, I took like the sign from that and just put it up on my wall. And they're really big because they're kind of far away. It was when gas
yeah,
prices were just exploding, and maybe it was like my rebellion against that, but it was really just me being dumb. And I mean, I had a Taco Bell chicken quesadilla thing stapled to my wall, like everything was there.
oh man, hilarious.
Did you?
Yeah,
Mhm.
he would tag bathrooms at like restaurants or something. Like they would drive like 3 hours away to some like Popeyes or something like that, and he would just like tag up the bathroom, and then he'd be like,
to
"Oh, we're
get
not from here."
to get his like sort of tag out a little bit, like expose it to more people, or it was just a thing
Yeah,
to do.
or just yeah, it was just the thing to do. It was part of the culture.
I would tag along
It-
John Silver's. I think they're pretty like funny. That's where that's where I would do it.
That's
Was
hilarious.
like I grew up, like we were raised by my mom, and moms typically are like the best cheerleaders. I think they just love what their kids do, and that allowed me to, it didn't make me a great artist, but it allowed me to not really care if people liked it or not, because I was really met with that unconditional love. And
Mm.
it allows me to like go try stand up even though I never did it, or like talk to you even though I never did it. Like it just allows me to express myself in different ways. Like I kind of, I don't know where you get it from, but you definitely seem comfortable exploring new avenues artistically. Because a few times I've
Um,
asked you today, it's like, were you nervous? Did you care? You're like, not really nervous, just doing my thing, kind of vibe.
yeah, yeah. I mean, creatively, I have different lanes just because like I'm curious. You know what I mean?
Same.
Like I like to figure out how things work, and if I figure it out, then I'm gonna do it. But yeah, I don't know. I just always had that freedom.
and it wasn't necessarily a product of like a nurturing you had. It's just something you maybe always had,
Yeah, yeah. I think I naturally had this. I
starting
was just
with
given
drawing,
tools. Yeah, I was just given the tools to do it.
and you were good at it, and you are good at it.
Thank you,
That
thank you.
helps. Yeah, yeah. I've been enjoying the album, and what's what's a song that maybe changed the most as you were working on it over the years?
Hmm. Probably Waterfall. That was one of the early songs, and I'm pretty sure I re-recorded my verse. I definitely re-recorded bass, added different effects, added some cool stuff to the drums, like when it comes to like the layering. Like there's some reverse drums in the layering. I don't know if anybody notices, but it's in there because it sounds cool.
I'll have to
um,
listen back, but when you say reverse layering, it was how the is it actually in reverse? Like the
yeah, the drum samples. Some of them are like reversed, like some of the hi hats and stuff like that.
yeah, I think about like the Beastie Boys. Even the Beatles did it like way back in the day, but I think about like the Beastie Boys. Like who were you thinking about when you did that?
I was thinking of Outkast.
Yeah.
You know the beginning of Sorry Miss Jackson?
Uh-huh. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a lot of it's in reverse, I think, but I'll have to listen back. But
yeah, and those are just drums.
yeah,
So that's definitely where that influence came from.
I was thinking about like the George Harrison had his like guitar reverse sometimes. Like that was way early on, but it wasn't as like maybe stylish, but it definitely was early on. I do like
Yeah,
that. I'll have to listen back and hear that for sure. That's cool.
but yeah, that was probably the one that I did the most like tinkering with, because I even added some more layers vocally. Like there's some like auto tune kind of like I guess Travis Scott like ad libs in the background,
Hmm.
but that wasn't done until probably last year.
It's easy enough to go in and say, oh, let's fill out this a little bit and add that. Is it?
There was a lot of just re-recording just because like I changed vocally as well. Like my tone is, I guess, more consistent.
Through
There's more
practice?
confidence. Yeah, yeah. There's more confidence. So just like freshening everything up,
You have like six
making it
different
sound more
voices
polished.
that you're
Yeah,
kind of dabbling through.
yeah.
This
I
album
try.
is like a showcase of all that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And it's not that you go to a different song and it's a different person. It's you, but it weaves through a couple of different styles of you. It's like you were saying earlier, it's not like a template. It kind of dances around different styles.
Yeah, it does what it wants.
Yeah. I was listening to Lloyd probably a couple of times, and instrumentally, it's very different. It's
Yeah,
locked into like a hip hop.
yeah. So that one is entirely produced by Young Music. He's producer from Texas
Mm-hmm.
who grew up with JDP, the other half of Disfunk.
He was in David's
He's
chat the other day on Twitch.
okay, okay, yeah, yeah. He's definitely one of the favorites that I have when it comes to like producers to collaborate with. Yeah, he definitely had like a specific sound that he was just messing around with at that time, and I was like, yeah, all of these beats right here that you just sent me need to go on the same project. So that's where the Lloyd project came from, and I would add to those beats, but like they were mostly there. I think there was actually a couple where I didn't add anything to it, but they were mostly there. Like I would just add some like bass or drum layers or something like that. Um, yeah, that was more like underground, I guess lo-fi boom bap type feel. They call everything lo-fi these days, so I'm
Yeah,
not sure if I'm using that right.
lo-fi trip hop.
But
Yeah,
Yeah, something. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I was I kind of went back and forth today listening to both, and that really hit me is that it even just it was released in 23. We're at
hmm
the end of 24, and it was interesting how it kind of stays in that tight hip hop vibe, and then for all caps, there's a little bit of that, but there's also a lot of soul and funk and jazz. So it was cool to see. I don't even want to say an evolution because I don't feel, I just feel like you're just showing off more of different sides of you on all caps.
yeah. Lloyd definitely had like a specific cohesiveness, like when it comes to the way the songs were written,
Mm-hmm.
like because it was definitely more like on the wordplay, rapping side of things. There was a couple songs that were a little bit more soulful, I think, like "Love Who You Love" was more on that soul type of vibe. "Stalemate" was in that realm. Um, "These Days" was more of like a housey club type song.
And Love Who You
And
Love
then there was
and
some.
Find Your Way, I kind of like made this connection between the two songs where there's like this self acceptance, like accept who you are, but also it's not too late to kind of be yourself and try new things. Like there's a little bit of a theme there.
Okay.
At least I made that
I
connection
I yeah, I didn't even make that connection.
because you can't really find your way until maybe you love yourself and be who you are.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
it's almost like one leads into the other.
Interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, there's almost
When
like a
I was
story
doing
being
Lloyd,
told there.
yeah, when I was doing Lloyd, it was more of like just I was in my feelings because I was getting out of a relationship and
Mm.
I was just venting pretty much that whole project. So that's definitely where that came from, and that was more of like an accepting the situation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I never really connected those two. That's wild.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't know the origins of the stories, so I get to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
listen to them without thinking too much about it. It's just like, huh,
hmm
there's love in both of these songs, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
and th- like I said, like it just works out that the the song off Lloyd kind of leads into this. It was a nice connection, even though they were maybe instrumentally different albums. It's still you, and it's not like
hmm
someone's like these are your lyrics and your story. So these lessons that you're learning in life with your relationships, they're still flowing into your other music. So I did really
Yeah.
see a connection there. And when I was saying earlier that you you're kind of bringing people in to this world that we get to see, um, where we came from, it's not where I came from. It could have easily been where I came from, but you chose to use we. So it's got me thinking about, and that coupled with, we literally see everyone on the album in these fun ways, together with you here. It's not just you on the album. So there's like this really warm, um, connection that's being made with all of these people, along with everyone who's been featured. So it was really nice to see that, especially for someone who, um, I don't necessarily think where I come from or who helped me get there sometimes. That's not naturally what I think about, which is weird to say, but it's nice to experience this through your lens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just definitely I think everybody on the project deserved credit for the roles that they played in the creation. Just because like I know like from working in the background, like we're not always celebrated as much as we should be. So yeah,
Even
I
just in the
definitely think
conversation
yeah.
today, you shine the spotlight on people that you've worked with, where it's just naturally who you are. It's not like you have to think long and hard about like who you worked with. It's just like, oh, you should check out this person because they're awesome and I love them, you know? And that's something that's
For sure.
really beautiful to see.
Thank you. Thank you.
When I was listening the second time with my buddy, we were just like, I was helping him with a project and we had some beers and it was a really great setting, like being with one of my best friends, having beers, music's on. And there was just, he was really high and having a good time. And we were watching your music video. It was awesome. And do you know how like the lore of like how the Dark Side of the Moon album matches up with the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah. Yeah.
It somehow thematically it matches up with the scenes in the movie. I kind of had a mini moment of that with your album where, not to put out any details, but he was just talking about his love life and just something going on in his sex life. That's all I'm going to say. And Mac Wop Freestyle comes on. And I think he's high as shit. And I'm pretty sure he went upstairs right as the song was starting without thinking about it. So he just gets done saying this to me. And then Mac Wop Freestyle comes on. And I'm just like laughing my ass off about what's being said in that song. Like, what's going on here with track 8?
So that was a freestyle over the Lay You Down beat. And yeah, he was freestyling about getting his gooch licked. That's pretty much all there is to say about that. I mean, he was going on for like 10 minutes. He was saying some stuff that I couldn't put on there, but you know.
But like,
I think that was the most iconic part, though.
Yeah, it's another moment where it was like, like it just brings me back, and I'm like, what? That's hilarious. But like, how did that make it into the album? Like, what were you saying? Like, I'm gonna give you a freestyle on the album. Like, what put Mac Wop on the album?
So during the whole COVID thing, like when I started getting into Twitch, he was doing like music reviews. So I would send in some songs, and then he would tell me like what he thinks I need to do with it, or like just general feedback. But he would always like fuck with my music. So like
having
to
fun
the point
with
where
it.
like yeah, like to the point where like he would just like take off my vocals and freestyle over them. Or like there's times where like he would put it on one of his playlists that he uses at parties and stuff like that. I remember when he was on tour with Isaiah Rashad, because he's the DJ for TDE. He put me on the guest list, so I got to see Zaywap for free. That was pretty dope. But yeah, I've just been sending him music like for years now, it seems, and I was like, it would be really dope to have him on the project, just to kind of like break it up. But yeah, that freestyle is hilarious. That was on Natural. That's all off the top of the head for him too. Like,
he wasn't writing that down and being like,
nah.
I know what I'm gonna say next.
Yeah, he just gets into his groove, his mode, and then he just kills shit. I don't know.
It was
It would
funny.
be funny to hear him. It would be funny to hear him do like a serious song though. I think that needs to happen.
Because I wasn't, I was playing it through like an Apple TV, so I wasn't looking at the track list, and that came on, and I was like wondering if that was you doing like an alter ego, like that was like your alter ego or something. Like that's at least where my mind went at first, and then I was like, oh no, tonality, this is a different person.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I was thinking it was like some alter ego that you put on there, like, now I'm gonna take over the album and tell you this. But another thing it does, because objectively, it's just funny. You know, it's hilarious that that's there, and but it also goes back to what I was saying earlier, that like you try, as good as of an artist you are, you're not trying to take yourself too serious. There's playfulness in that.
I like to show that you can still have a fun time. You can still like enjoy yourself, laugh, even if things aren't really the greatest outside. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Have fun like that, and
yeah, there's a little sunshine moments.
It is. It was just funny, and it just like snapped me back, and then it also sets up Lay You Down.
Yeah.
It goes right into that.
Yeah, that was like perfect the way the transitions. He's like, let's run this back from the titties.
And you didn't plan that with him. It just you trimmed up a
No,
piece
I
of the
mean, yeah. I just restructured the freestyle that he did, and I was like, "Bet
yeah,
this
that
works
that was
perfectly."
nice. And it's this moment where you're laughing and you're like, what the hell? But then it goes into this like beautiful love song in a way. And
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites.
and I think it also I made the connection that like the the person you're in love with, the person you're having sex with, the person you love, you're usually the most vulnerable and you're having these funny laughs. Like my girlfriend Melissa, she sees a side of me that others just don't get to see. I don't bother sharing that side of me. It could be something as stupid as like talking in a fucking baby voice or doing some like
Hmm.
impression that I'm working on or just something stupid. So I kind of made that connection that like those funny freestyle, like saying these out of pocket things, they kind of go hand in hand with like someone we um, love. So they kind of like went in nicely with each other, you know?
Yeah, those intimate moments.
Yeah. It's like something that I would share with Melissa and I'm like, listen to this MacWap freestyle. Like, this is fucking funny, you know? And then,
Yeah,
although it's unrelated to our love, it's just like we can share those funny things with each other.
yeah,
So it really
and
did
no
flow in.
judgment.
Um, and then you and Laddie met at an Afroman concert. Is that true?
So my mom and my older brother and my cousin went to an Afro Man show, and Laddie opened for Afro Man. And then my brother comes home and he was like, "Oh, you gotta check this rapper out. He's really good. Maybe you could work with him."
Mm.
So I looked him up and I was like, "Yeah, he's really good." And I hit him up immediately, and he was like, "Yeah, send me some stuff." And I sent him this one beat that ended up being the intro for his cartoons and cereal mixtape back in like 2014.
Oh,
It
damn.
was a
You
long
guys know
time
each
ago.
other for a long time.
Yeah, that was
I
like
don't
10
always know
years
the
ago.
timeline, so that's wild. No wonder you guys have such a close relationship like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then yeah, ever since then it's just been nonstop working on things together. I think that's around the time we started working on Never Ignorant, and we did a few projects in between there too, like the Crybaby projects, Growing Pains. That was his first one, I think.
Hmm.
That was actually on like every streaming platform.
I enjoy his music too. It's really good. Are you producing for him?
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
yeah. And I mix and master
for
his
Shaw as
hits
well.
too. I don't for Shaw. Shaw has so we met Shaw when we joined the label,
Hmm. Oh, okay.
and he already had like an engineer and producers that he works with and stuff like that. So I'm not mixing any of his stuff.
You're connected through the label.
Yeah, but like on songs that like we do together or like uh some of like the label things that we put together, I do mix those just because I already have the experience mixing my vocals, Laddie's vocals, and Shaw's just adding another onto that. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Is Disfunk? Are you guys still doing something with Disfunk?
Um, we want to.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like you ended it. It's just it's idle right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely want Jared or JDP. I definitely want JDP to drop a solo project because we've been talking about that for years. But that doesn't mean we can't work on it in the meantime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even just looking at like all caps, you were doing so much while
Mm.
that one project was happening. So you clearly are capable of multitasking.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the Disfunk songs were supposed to be on all caps.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, like Trip Tonight was supposed to be on all caps, and then it kind of turned into an entire project.
And that's
It's
all
like,
it was.
wow.
It was just like there's too much here, so let's put it somewhere else. Let's put it as its own
Um,
thing, or was it just
at
keeping
the
it separate?
time, yeah, at the time there was only like a few tracks that I actually had done. I think it was Where We Came From, Mamacita, and Trip the Night were probably the only songs that I had done at that time. And Trip the Night was just so different from the rest of them that I was like, yeah, this needs to be its own thing. And then we took like 3 weeks and just kind of made songs that fit that similar sonic sound space. And yeah, that was really
Mamacita is the one that I find myself singing the most, like even when I'm not listening to the album.
fun.
But
That's crazy.
I love doing impressions of like the stuff I hear, and your voice is just so fun to try and do something with, like when I'm just driving. Like I just love like trying to hit that lower register. I just have fun with it, you know. Like your voice is unique and it's fun to try and sing along to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Were you thinking about like the setting that your music was gonna be, like where people were gonna be listening to this, what they were gonna be doing?
Not at all.
Yeah,
I was more
it's just
thinking
you.
like, yeah, I was just letting my imagination kind of run wild. So like some of the scenes that I talk about in the music itself is kind of where I saw the the listener being, I
Hmm.
guess. Like for Mamacita, I was talking about like cruising back roads and stuff like that because I was at that time I was smoking heavily, and the girl I was with was also smoking heavily.
Hmm.
So that was basically just based on the actual events that happened.
Yeah, I don't smoke much, so when I do, it like really hits me. And there was a time where I was like, I was thinking this would be a good setting, but I was listening to the like a Bob Marley Legend compilation, and I was driving through Wilmington, just like the city, the banks, and I literally mistook a stop sign as a stoplight, and I was waiting for the stop sign to turn green, and I
Oh man,
and I didn't know until like someone had like come up behind me and like beeped or whatever. But I was thinking like that kind of be a funny, fun moment to have your album playing, like something like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, or getting like pulled over and he hears that and he's like,
What's going on
"Are you
here?
under the influence?"
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. Dude, thanks so much for talking to me. I've
Yeah,
really
of
been
course.
enjoying the music. And uh, like I said, even just as simple as today, working a retail job and it sucks, your music made my day a little easier. And I think that's really an important thing, you know, something you don't
Good.
always
I'm glad.
consider. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that people can listen to this while they're working or
Yeah.
doing whatever. Apparently.
And in that case, one AirPod in, so it's not the full like experience, but it was still there, you know, and it
Yeah.
was fun.
Um, I definitely recommend to everybody though to listen with some headphones on, just to like feel what I was feeling when I was mixing it, when I was creating it, and just like it's an experience. I think.
You're mixing with studio monitors, like on your
Yeah.
ears. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did this all the time, but did you listen to it in different settings? Would you finish a song and then listen in the car? Like, yeah,
Yep. I have these they're PA speakers that I
big
like to.
boys.
Yeah, I like the big JBLs.
Uh huh.
Yeah, I like to
Like a
play it back
12 or
on
a
those.
15, just.
Yep. And then I have smaller studio monitors, which I use more for like when I'm working on vocals. But yeah, I like to listen to it back on the PA speakers, so it gives me an idea of what it sounds like live. Because a lot of times that's what they're using.
Yeah, like, yeah,
Um,
exactly. And you can't always simulate like a room filled with people or something, but it still gives you like an idea of what's sort of cutting, what
hmm
could be brought up. And that was it was a little cringy for me to listen to myself at first, but it got better over the years. But it was so fun to like listen in the car, listen through my little cheap headphones, listen through my phone speaker, listen through my nice
Yeah.
setup, you know, like it's just
Sometimes I listen on this like super shitty Bluetooth speaker that I have. It's probably purchased off of Wish.
take it to the
Not gonna
beach.
lie.
It's like a junk speaker.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds like a tin can with like I don't
Like a
even
hit
know,
clip.
man. Like, yeah, like the speaker's probably blown. Like it sounds like it farts half the time.
The song's barely there,
but
but it's still something. someone's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
using something like that.
yeah. Can I hear everything on this though? Like that's the main goal.
Hmm.
But yeah, so many different speakers.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Thank you, dude. It's
Yeah, of course.
I understand you like you were gonna maybe perform live with Laddie tonight, so I feel so lucky that you.
Oh no, it's completely fine.
I feel lucky that you gave me
Completely
some
fine.
time to do this, and I hope more people discover your music through our conversation today. That was my number one goal for that, and uh, I feel like I had another question, but it wasn't like anything huge. We covered a lot today. Is there anything additionally that you want to share about it?
About the music itself, or
Yeah.
just um, I don't know. I'm just really proud of every song on there. Proud of the way we presented it. Proud of every musician that was involved. Proud of my brother doing the amazing artwork. It was just a journey,
Mm.
and you kind of see my growth throughout the whole project. So definitely keep an eye out for that too.
Yeah. And what I was going to say, the question was you spent
Yep.
4+ years on a lot of this music and they kind of changed a little bit. And maybe you got a new skill or you developed your voice and you redid stuff. But point is, you've probably listened to these songs, what, hundreds of times at least? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you put the album out. People are listening to it for the very first time, including myself, because it's only been December 10th, so a little over a week since it dropped. But not only is your relationship different with the music because you made it, you've also been listening to it a million times. What's it like with someone listening to it for the first time and just saying like, "Man, I love this song," or like what's that been like for you over the last week or so?
it's definitely cool to see like which parts are like favorite parts of just like random people or listeners. Because like I know which parts are my favorite and like which songs are my favorite, but like just everybody's different perspective about it is really cool and refreshing. Because like there's necessarily songs that I think are like the best on there that people are like, nah, but this one, I'm like,
Really? Yeah, like
okay.
huh,
Yeah,
okay. Like you're taking the compliment but you're like, "Huh."
yeah, yeah. It was more like experimental. But all right. You like that? All right. Kind of take a note, you know.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I wasn't quite sure how everybody was gonna receive it, just because of the way the music climate is these days, especially in like the hip hop and R&B realm. Everything's kind of more modernized now with like trap drums and
Mhm.
more repetitive styles and formulas and stuff like that. So I wasn't really sure how they would receive it, but I've been getting a lot of good feedback from it,
Well, as we move into
which is
the
pretty cool.
AI era of the world, right? And everything's sort of like whoosh, 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 anybody
Copy
can,
paste.
yeah. I think that fakeness, people are and are going to increasingly crave authenticity, and your work represents that. Whether it's the uh, the artwork that tells a story in itself, like I could spend all day on AI sites trying to
Hmm.
describe that, but the hands are going to be weird. Like I'm not going to get anything that has any kind of soul that your brother was able to make for you out of his love, right? And
Yeah.
certainly can't come up with those stories. Same with your music. Like even though it's not following the trend, that that's literally your skill. You know that you one aren't trying to follow them, and two you're able to produce something that is amazing that is nothing like what anybody else is doing, you know? And at the end of the day, David's excitement and what I just shared is why I wanted to talk to you, you know? Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And I see as more people hear this music, I think they're gonna make that connection as well. That as it as we're gonna have to sift through more fake stuff
Hmm.
as time goes on with AI or whatever, these pieces of art like yours are going to shine even brighter when they're found by someone, like that's it's really good stuff.
Thank you. I
And
really
what's
appreciate
next for
that.
you? What are you working on? What are you going to work on?
So I've been pretty much telling everybody it's gonna be a surprise. So I don't want to
Fun.
give too many details because like you've heard the sampler, and I could go any direction I really want to. So it'll be a surprise.
Cool. Well, we've got a brand new album to enjoy in the meantime.
Yeah, go play that. Run it up.
Yeah, guys, check it out. I've been loving it. I'm probably going to listen to it 100 more times, especially now that I have some stuff to think about from our conversation. And it's also just easy listening. It can be in many different settings. Beers with friends, smoking, driving, in
Baby
bed,
making.
unwinding. Thank you for that, David. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, dude. And shout out.
It said Ravens poople.
He had to circle back. Ravens poopy.
Well, at least we don't pee on towels and then wave them in the
Uh-huh.
air.
And he said he loves you. And David, thanks for being here, dude. And for my listeners, I know this is way different than Resident Evil speedrunning, but it's important for me to try new things as well. So for anybody who listened in, thank you so much. And this is also going to be on YouTube for you guys to enjoy. Dude, thank you for talking to me today.
Yeah, of course. And shout out your cousin though for putting this together.
Yeah, David, thank you so much for putting it together. He's going through a little bit of a tough time, so hopefully this was good for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Thanks, dude. And hopefully one day, kind of your dream of getting a bigger space, that's one of my dreams too. And I'd love to have a space where these conversations can happen in person, and I'd love for that to happen one day.
Yeah, that would be dope. I've been doing a lot of like Zoom, Discord style interviews lately.
I saw that, yeah. Because I was
like, in person would be different, I think.
It is. It's a little more natural. Sometimes it's kind of nice because I can like quickly look at a note or something, but it's also there's a barrier, But I did watch your
human connection.
I liked the interview with the basketball podcast. That was fun because there's a little bit of a tie into basketball if you're a fan. And there was a few others as well that I watched just so I don't ask you some stuff that's just like a Google away,
Yeah. I definitely appreciated how you didn't ask a lot of the same questions. And you did a lot of digging.
Yeah.
In comparison.
I try to I'm curious like you, and I'm not an interviewer. I'm a Twitch streamer, so if we're going to talk, it's because I want to talk,
Yeah.
And I want to maybe find some inspiration to continue making music now that I do a lot of streaming. So it's a little bit of a selfish thing to try and like steal some of your inspiration and use it for myself.
Yeah, I feel that. But yeah, no, it was just refreshing because like you definitely did the research, you took the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're asking a whole bunch of questions about like who's this and who's that. No. You're like, oh, so you started making music with so and so, and then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities that we had, so it's fun to figure that out, and I hope that we can continue to talk in the future as you release new projects, and I know David's good friends with your little brother, so there's definitely that connection there, and I genuinely love your music, and I can't wait to hear what's next.
Thank you.
Yep. I'll talk to you, bro.
I'll talk to you. Have
Peace.
a good one.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Peace.
That was a lot of fun, guys.
Woo! That was different than I'm used to, and I had a blast. It makes you a little
more nervous than just the regular streaming stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. All right. Check, check, check. Well, I think we can raid out to somebody, and I'm going to chill. Let's see who's on. Okay. Oh, Doggy's on. Yo, thank you all for being here with me and watching something new with me. And we're going to head over to Doggy. If it'll let me here. Bye, everybody.